Imagine a world where everything you know about scale is flipped upside down, where the ground-shaking titans of the Cretaceous are reduced to the size of a pony, and the monsters that haunt the clouds are as tall as a giraffe, prowling the earth like skeletal nightmares. This is not a fantasy, it is the brutal reality of the Haight Island. 70 million years ago, in what is now modern-day Romania, the rising Tethys Sea created a biological pressure cooker, an evolutionary trap where survival meant shrinking, and the sky held the ultimate predator. Welcome to the island of the dwarves.
Most sauropods were living mountains that could crush a predator under a single footprint. But here, a full-grown longneck is barely taller than a human. The late Cretaceous is an era of giants, but geography is a cruel master. As global sea levels surged, the European archipelago was born, and a group of titanosaurian sauropods found themselves cut off from the mainland. On the Haight Island, the rules of biology changed overnight. In a vast continent, being big is a defense. On a closed island, being big is a death sentence. There isn't enough vegetation to fuel a 100-ton body. We follow a herd of Magurosauris. To the untrained eye, they look like hatchlings, but their scarred hides and thick ossified bone structures tell a different story. These are adults, fully mature at only 6 meters long. They move through the dense subtropical ferns with a frantic energy. On the mainland, their ancestors moved with the slow, rhythmic confidence of gods. Here, the Magurosauris are twitchy. They are small enough to be viewed as prey by things that shouldn't even be on their radar. The air is thick with humidity and the smell of rotting vegetation. The island is beautiful, lush with palms and flowering plants, but it is a gilded cage. Every mouthful of greenery is a hard-won prize. The island rule is in full effect. When resources are scarce, the small survive because they need less to keep their hearts beating. But shrinking comes with a price. They have lost their primary weapon, their size, and in the shadows of the Haight forests, something has evolved to fill the power vacuum left by the absent tyrannosaurs.
You hear the snap of a branch, but you don't look at the bushes, you look at the sky, where a silhouette the size of a light aircraft is descending with terrifying precision. High above the canopy, a creature surveys the island with eyes the size of grapefruits. This is Hatzegopteryx, the undisputed king of this domain. On the mainland, pterosaurs are often fish eaters or scavengers. Here, they have become the apex land predators. With a wingspan reaching 10 meters, Hatzegopteryx doesn't just fly, it dominates the landscape. It lands not with a flutter, but with a heavy, bone-jarring thud. Unlike the graceful flyers of the Jurassic, this pterosaur is built like a tank. Its neck is unnaturally thick, reinforced to handle the stresses of terrestrial combat. It folds its massive wings and begins to walk on 4 limbs, stalking through the underbrush like a demonic stork. Its beak is a massive spear-like weapon, nearly 3 meters long and capable of crushing bone like dry kindling. It spots a lone Magurosauris, a young male that has strayed too far from the herd's center. The dwarf sauropod freezes. Its instincts tell it to rely on its bulk, but it has no bulk to rely on. The Hatzegopteryx moves with a stabbing, jerky gait. It doesn't need to roar. The only sound is the click of its beak and the rustle of its leathery wings. In this twisted ecosystem, the bird has become the wolf, and the dragon has become the ground dweller. The hunt is not about a chase, it's about an inevitable, crushing strike. To see a Hatzegopteryx standing on the ground is to see a biological glitch, a creature that stands 5 meters tall, its head level with a giraffe's, yet capable of vanishing into the clouds in seconds. The Magurosauris makes a desperate break for the tree line, its stout legs churning the mud. It is surprisingly fast for a sauropod, but it is no match for the reach of the giant. With a burst of speed, the Hatzegopteryx lunges. It doesn't grab, it spears. The massive beak slams into the sauropod's flank, the impact force equivalent to a high-speed car crash. The dwarf dinosaur is lifted off its feet, its ribs shattering instantly under the pressure of the pterosaur's powerful neck muscles. This is the horror of the Haight Island. Death doesn't come from a bite to the throat, it comes from being bludgeoned and swallowed whole.
The Hatzegopteryx uses its beak to pin the struggling dinosaur to the ground. There is no struggle for dominance here, only a cold, mechanical process of consumption. The predator begins to tilt its head back, working the carcass into its gullet. Blood drips from the pterosaur's beak, staining its pycna fibers, the fur-like coating on its body. It pauses, scanning the horizon. It is not afraid of other predators. It is looking for rivals. On an island this small, every kill is a beacon. The sheer violence of the act is a reminder that even in a world of dwarves, the scale of brutality remains gargantuan. The Hatzegopteryx swallows the last of its meal and lets out a low, vibrating hiss that rattles the nearby leaves. Imagine a place so crowded and resource poor that your own neighbors are more dangerous than the monsters in the woods. Life for the Haight Islanders isn't just about avoiding the giants in the sky. It's about the brutal competition on the ground. We turn our attention to the Telmosaurus, a dwarf duck-billed dinosaur. These hadrosaurs are roughly the size of a large pony, a far cry from their 10-ton cousins in North America. They travel in tight-knit family groups, but even within the group, tension is high. In a world where the sea keeps rising and the land keeps shrinking, every nesting site is a war zone. We see a nesting colony of Telmosaurus on a sandy riverbank. The mothers are protective, but they are exhausted. The island's limited flora means they are constantly on the edge of starvation. When a nest is left unguarded for even a second, it isn't a predator that moves in. It's another Telmosaurus. Desperation breeds macabre behavior. We witness a mother forced to defend her eggs not from a carnivore, but from a starving member of her own species looking for easy protein. This is the dark side of island dwarfism. When the ecosystem is pushed to its limits, the traditional roles of herbivore and carnivore begin to blur. The island is a pressure cooker of stress, and the heat is rising. The Telmosaurus mother bellows a raspy, desperate warning, her eyes wide with the frantic energy of a creature that knows there is nowhere left to run. Don't let their size fool you. These birds of prey have serrated teeth and a pack-hunting intelligence that makes them the island's most efficient killers of the undergrowth. While the Hatzegopteryx rules the open spaces and the canopy, the dense ferns belong to the bradykneem. Often mistaken for early birds, these are actually small, flightless theropods, cousins to the fearsome raptors. On Hatteg, they have evolved into specialized cleanup crews. They are barely 2 meters long, covered in sleek feathers that provide perfect camouflage against the forest floor. We watch a pack of 3 bradykneem as they track a wounded Zalmoxes, a small iguanodontian dinosaur. The Zalmoxes is built like a tank, low to the ground and heavily muscled, but it has a limp from a previous encounter with a pterosaur. The raptors don't attack head-on. They use the death-by-a-thousand-cut strategy. They dart in, their sickle-shaped claws flashing in the dappled sunlight, slicing at the soft tissue of the legs and belly before retreating into the shadows. The Zalmoxes turns, swinging its heavy head, but the bradykneem are gone before it can connect. They are patient. On an island, you don't waste energy on a fair fight. You wait for the environment to do the work for you. As the sun begins to set, casting long, eerie shadows across the Hatteg landscape, the pack closes in. The sounds of the island, the chirps of insects, the rustle of palms, are suddenly drowned out by the shrill, bird-like shrieks of the hunt. The trap island is claiming another victim. In a land of giants turned small, the most dangerous place to be is inside an egg, waiting for a world that wants to eat you before you even breathe. We shift our focus to the Paliditon, another dwarf sauropod, smaller even than the Magurasaurus. The female Paliditon is a masterpiece of island adaptation, compact, sturdy, and driven by a singular, frantic instinct: reproduction. She moves toward the volcanic soil near the island's center, where the Earth's internal heat acts as a natural incubator. But she isn't alone. The ground here is a minefield of existing nests. The air is sulfurous and heavy. As she begins to dig, her movements are cautious. In this trap island, space is the most precious commodity. If she digs too deep, she destroys a rival's clutch. If she stays too shallow,
The small, scurrying mammals, our own ancestors, will feast on her legacy by moonlight. These mammals, like the multituberculate Cogionin, are the size of rats but possess the cunning of foxes. They watch from the ferns with obsidian eyes, waiting for the giant mother to finish her labor. The Paleoditon deposits 20 leathery eggs. On the mainland, a sauropod might lay 100, banking on the safety in numbers strategy. Here, she can't afford the biological cost. Every egg is a massive investment of her dwindling calcium reserves. She covers them with rotting vegetation to create a compost heater, her breath coming in ragged gasps. She is exhausted, her ribs showing through her skin. She has given everything to the next generation, but as she turns to leave, the shadows of the Cogionin are already creeping toward the mound.
When a titan falls on Hayteg, it doesn't just feed the predators. It triggers a biological riot where the line between life and death vanishes in a swarm of teeth and fur. The heat of the afternoon has claimed a victim, an old Magurarasaurus, weakened by a respiratory infection and the relentless humidity, has collapsed in a drying riverbed. In any other world, a multi-ton carcass would last for weeks. On Hayteg, the cleanup is surgical and terrifyingly fast. The first to arrive aren't the pterosaurs, but the Elopteryx, small, feathered theropods with serrated teeth like steak knives. They don't wait for the animal to die. They begin at the softest points, the eyes, the underbelly, the vents. The Magurarasaurus lets out a final, pathetic groan as the Elopteryx tears strips of flesh away. Then, the wind shifts. The bird god returns. A Hatzegopteryx drops from the sky, its landing so heavy it snaps the dry branches of a nearby fallen tree. The smaller scavengers scatter like dry leaves. The giant pterosaur doesn't eat like a bird, it eats like a crocodile. It uses its massive beak to shear through the sauropod's neck, tossing the head aside like a discarded toy to get to the nutrient-rich organs. It's a scene of primal gore. The pterosaur's white fur is soon stained a deep, visceral crimson. It stabs into the chest cavity, cracking the dwarf's ribs with audible pops that echo through the silent forest. On this island, nothing is wasted. Every calorie is recycled into the wings of the monster that keeps the island in a state of perpetual fear.
The island isn't just a cage of land, it's a shifting puzzle of salt and drowning, where the very ground beneath your feet can vanish with a change in the moon. The moon rises over the Tethys Sea, and with it comes the tide. But this isn't a normal tide. Seasonal storms are battering the archipelago, and the Hayteg Island is shrinking even further. The lowlands, where the Telmatosaurus herds graze, are disappearing under a surge of brackish water. The dinosaurs are pushed higher up the volcanic slopes, into territories they aren't adapted for. We follow a juvenile Zalmoxes as it struggles through the rising floodwaters. The water is thick with silt and the smell of salt. For a land-dwelling dinosaur, the sea is an alien, hostile entity. Small crocodiles, the Allodapasuchus, lurk in the new lagoons. They are generalist killers, 3 meters long, perfectly evolved to snatch a dwarf dinosaur that is forced to swim for its life. The Zalmoxes reaches a narrow land bridge, but it's already submerged. It must make a choice, swim or starve. As it paddles frantically, the water around it begins to swirl. An Allodapasuchus launches itself, its jaws locking onto the dinosaur's hind leg. The struggle is brief and underwater, a chaotic explosion of bubbles and blood. The island is not just a predator's playground. The geography itself is an active killer, weeding out the slow and the unlucky with every rising wave.
While the dinosaurs rule the day, the night belongs to a different kind of survivor, one that is small, warm-blooded, and waiting for the giants to fail. As the sun dips below the horizon, the reptilian world slows down. The Magiosaurus huddle together for warmth, their cold-blooded metabolism sluggish in the midnight air. This is the hour of the Barbatondon, a strange, primitive mammal with teeth tipped in red iron. These creatures are the ghosts of Hayteg. While the dinosaurs are the stars of the show,
the mammals are the true masters of the island's hidden corners. The Barbitondon moves with lightning speed through the leaf litter. It finds a Telmatosaurus nest, the same one we saw earlier. The mother is asleep, her heart rate dropped to conserve energy. The mammal doesn't just eat the eggs, it drinks the life within. It uses its iron-hard incisors to pierce the shells, lapping up the protein that will fuel its high-octane nervous system. This is the silent war. The dinosaurs may dominate the landscape with their size and beaks, but the mammals are winning the war of attrition. They eat the future of the giants. In the dark, the island of the dwarves looks different. It looks like a nursery for the world that is to come, the world of us. But for now, the Barbitondon must freeze as a massive, leathery wing shadow passes over the moon. Even at night, the Hatzegopteryx is listening for the heartbeat of the small.
Every evolutionary miracle has an expiration date, and for the dwarves of Hateg, the end didn't come with a whimper, but with the roar of a dying world. The Hateg Island was a biological laboratory, a place where nature tested the limits of less is more. But the Trap Island was always a temporary refuge. As the Cretaceous period drew to its violent close, the global climate began to shift. The seas that isolated the island began to recede as the Earth's plates groaned and shifted, reconnecting Hateg to the mainland. The walls of the cage fell down, but this wasn't a liberation, it was an invasion. The specialized dwarf dinosaurs of Hateg, the Magurosaurus, the Telmatosaurus, were suddenly faced with their giant continental cousins. They were outcompeted for food,